All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you there's an ancient way to root plant cuttings that gives you visible results in just 3 days? We're talking 72 hours. This is some seriously cool botanical knowledge that kind of flips everything we thought we knew about propagation on its head.
We have all been there, haven't we? You take this perfect little cutting from a plant you love, you're so excited, and then you just watch it shrivel up and die. It is hands down one of the biggest frustrations for any gardener. That first 3-day window, that's the danger zone where it all goes wrong.
But this is where it gets really interesting. The whole promise of these old school methods is that you'll see real progress inside that exact window. I'm not talking about waiting weeks. I mean seeing swelling nodes, the start of callus tissue, maybe even the very first hint of roots, all in 72 hours. That's before most modern methods have even gotten out of bed.
So what's the secret? How does it work? Well, it's not about brute force. Modern rooting powders, they kind of blast the cutting with synthetic hormones. But ancient gardeners, they knew it was all about balance. They weren't trying to force the plant to grow. They were trying to signal it that it was safe to heal itself and start growing naturally.
And this, right here, this lays out the difference perfectly. Think of synthetic hormones like yelling at the plant, "Make roots, now!" It's super aggressive, but these natural methods, they're more like a gentle whisper, They tell the cutting, hey, you're safe, you're protected, you've got everything you need to start growing when you're ready. It's a totally different philosophy. And yeah, those commercial rooting powders, they can work, but they definitely come with some trade-offs. Sometimes they're just too harsh and can literally burn delicate cuttings. They can lose their punch over time, and sometimes the roots they make pop out fast, but they're not very strong. The plant isn't healing. It's just reacting to a chemical shock.
Okay, so let's get our hands dirty. Let's talk about the how. The source material lays out 3 super specific, really powerful recipes that gardeners used to swear by. These are the tricks of the trade that actually deliver on that 72-hour promise.
First up is willow water. And let me tell you, this stuff is legendary. This is probably one of the most powerful natural rooting stimulants ever discovered. For centuries, growers have known there's something magical about the willow tree. It's the ultimate green light for a cutting to start growing roots.
So what's the secret sauce in willow? Well, it's actually science. It has 2 key ingredients. First, a natural rooting hormone called indole butyric acid. This is the stuff that tells the cells to become roots. And second, it's got salicylic acid. Think of this like a supervitamin for the plant. It lowers stress and kicks its little immune system into overdrive.
And you won't believe how easy this is to make. You just grab some young green willow tips, chop them up, and let them steep in some boiled water overnight, like you're making tea. Strain it out, and you've got this potent liquid. Now the key is to dilute it 1-to-1 with fresh water before you soak your cuttings in it. That's it. Simple.
Okay, next up, aloe vera. This one's a real game changer because it does 2 things at once. It doesn't just encourage roots to grow, it actually heals the fresh cut on your cutting and protects it from nasty infections at the same time.
Now the process for this one is totally different. You blend that fresh aloe gel with water to make a liquidy solution. You don't soak the cuttings in this. You just dip the end in, get a nice coating on it, and plant it right away. That aloe forms this amazing protective seal over the wound, which is why it's a lifesaver for plants that are easily prone to rot.
And third on our list is honey. Now, you gotta understand the job honey does here. It's not a hormone that tells the plant to grow. Nope. Honey is the bodyguard. It's the cutting's own personal security detail. See, raw honey is packed with natural, antibacterial, and antifungal properties. So when you dip a cutting in a little bit of diluted honey, you're creating this protective shield around that vulnerable open wound. It keeps out all the bad guys, the fungus, the bacteria, that want to cause rot before the roots even get a chance to start.
So what happens when you put them together? Oh, now you're talking. This is the ultimate 1-2 punch for propagation. First, you soak the cutting in that willow water. That's the signal telling it to start rooting. Then, right before you plant it, you dip it in the honey solution. That's the shield to protect it. You're literally giving it the best of both worlds.
All right, so we've got our magic potions. But listen, none of this matters if you start with a bad cutting. A great rooting solution can't save a poorly prepared plant. Getting this next part right is just as important for hitting that 72-hour success story. So here's the quick and dirty checklist. Always start with a healthy, growing stem. No weaklings. Use a super clean, sharp blade for a nice angled cut, and do it right below a node. You know, that little bump on the stem? That's where the rooting magic happens. Strip off any leaves that'll be under the soil. Oh, and a pro tip,
For woody cuttings, give the base a gentle scrape to help it soak up all that goodness.
So if you nail all of that, what can you actually see? This is the fun part. After just 24 hours, the cutting should look plump and full of life, not sad and shriveled. By day 2, you should see this whitish tissue forming on the cut end. That's called a callus, and it's the foundation for new roots. And then, by day 3, 72 hours, you might just see those tiny white root nubs starting to push their way out. It is so cool to watch.
But remember, once it's in the soil, the work isn't over. The environment is everything. You want a light, airy soil mix. And here's the #1 rule. Keep it moist, but never soggy and wet. That's the fastest way to kill a cutting. Give it plenty of bright, indirect light, and, this is critical, keep the humidity high. Just pop a plastic bag or a dome over it for the first week.
So you might be thinking, okay, this is all cool, but why bother when I can just go buy a bottle of rooting hormone at the store? And that's a fair question. But this is about so much more than just making a new plant. It's really about adopting a whole different way of thinking about gardening.
I mean, just think about it. These methods are basically free. You're using stuff you probably already have in your backyard. They're totally sustainable, and they work just as well for cloning 1 basil plant as they do for 100 fruit trees. But most importantly, this knowledge makes you a better gardener. It teaches you to observe and work with nature instead of just relying on a product from a shelf.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. It really sums up the whole idea perfectly. This whole thing is about becoming a partner with your plants. When you get how they work, how they want to heal and grow, you stop trying to force them to do things, and you start helping them do what they already want to do naturally. So the big takeaway here is that this kind of knowledge has been passed down for a reason. It flat out works. It puts the power to create new life right back in your hands, using nothing but the incredible wisdom of nature itself. So it really just leaves one question, right? What ancient wisdom are you going to try in your garden?